Hello, I'm excited to be here at the Microsoft 365 Virtual Marathon to talk to you about the intelligent internet and how it can transform communications and digital employee experiences.
Hi, I'm Debjani Mitra. I'm a program manager on the SharePoint Experiences team. Thank you for watching our session here today, and I'm going to show you a bunch of demos during this session.
Microsoft 365 is the world's productivity cloud. It's built on the foundation of Office. Apps like SharePoint, Exchange, Yammer. It brings in all of the security, all of the trust, all of the compliance to weave that through your entire enterprise. Now, at the core of Microsoft 365 is collaboration. Now, you can think about collaboration as part communication, part intelligent content, and part platform. Today, we really want to dive into the intelligent content portion of that. And at the core of that is SharePoint. When we think about intelligent content in your organization, the intranet is central for that. It brings you things like employee communications and engagement. You can use things like rich news to share information all across the internet and your entire organization. Or you could use things like the all company feed in Yammer to also share that as a communicator across the organization. You can connect people, news, knowledge, and apps together with its rich and robust knowledge and content management solutions. And most important, you can share all of this content and all of these solutions across any group or team inside your organization. Now, at the core of the intelligent internet is SharePoint, but it's not SharePoint alone. It's SharePoint, Microsoft Stream, Yammer, Microsoft Teams, and other tools and pieces of Microsoft 365 really coming together in a seamless way for users. Now, a good example of the power of the intelligent intranet is what we see here that the Velux group did. They really needed collaboration tools that could bridge the boundaries across their entire organization, across multiple countries, but also across different types of employees, from their first line workers out on their factory floors, all the way back to their corporate offices and out through their salespeople. And the intelligent internet with Microsoft 365 was able to help them collaborate and communicate across all of these borders. Now, as you think about the intelligent internet, it's really built on four major building blocks: organizational news, communication sites, home sites, and hubs. Let's take a look at each one of these. The first one is how we deal with organizational news. This is the foundation of knowledge and information across the entire organization, and it's important to be there to inform and engage with everyone. Now, in today's day and age, people look for their information to be personally relevant and available on all of their devices, no matter where they are. Not only does this content have to be personally relevant, but it has to be compelling. It has to be very dynamic. Things like multimedia, other types of content are expected there. It's not just a sea of news. Now, you spend as a communicator in an organization a tremendous amount of time generating this content. It's important to be able to have a platform that can scale the reach of this automatically across your entire organization to make sure that employees are able to access it wherever they may be. When they do access it, to get that rich engagement, you need things like two-way commenting, conversations, likes, social resharing, all out there and available for them. Now, there's a lot that you can do with news and Microsoft 365, and I'd like to hand it over to Debjani to give you a look at that.
Thank you, Brad. So here we are on the Leadership Connection site. This is the site where Contoso employees come to connect with the leadership at the company. Now, this site is a source of organization news. Let me explain. When a news post is published on this site, it is distributed broadly to all employees in their SharePoint start page and their SharePoint mobile app. And no matter where that news post shows up, it has a special visual treatment behind the site name, similar to what you see here with the highlighting, that indicates that the news post is authoritative and draws the audience in. So in this scenario, I'm a member of the corporate communications team, and I want to create a new news post announcing a hackathon for North America employees. So all I need to do is click on New and then say News Post. Now you can see that SharePoint provides 3 out-of-the-box page templates, and I can click in to get a handy preview of what that template entails. But the corporate communications team has also been able to create custom templates for this site, as you can see up here. Page templates are a great way to enforce a consistency in look and feel across organization news. So in this case, since I'm announcing a hackathon, I'm going to go with the company initiative template. And let's go ahead and create that news post. So here, notice that a new news post got created with web parts already there, a layout already there, and with placeholder content. Let's now dive in and flesh this out. First, I'm going to give this news post a name, North America Hackathon. And next, I'm going to replace the placeholder banner image. So to do that, I can click on Change Image. And you can see that SharePoint gives me a number of different sources here from where I can pull my images. In fact, one of the big advantages of using SharePoint News is that you can get your images from so many different sources, tell your story in a really visually compelling way. So you can use stock images. Microsoft recently acquired thousands of beautiful high-quality images for you to be able to use entirely royalty-free throughout your intranet. Of course, you can use web search. You can use organization assets. These are approved assets from your organization that any author of a page or news post can use. You can upload from OneDrive, from this site, from your computer, and from a link. So in this case, we're going to use stock images. And I'm going to search for computer. And I like this image for a hackathon, so let's select that. Great. Next, to fill out this text web part. So, of course, I can type directly in here, and SharePoint provides a number of different formatting options, but I have already drafted up my text in Word. So all I need to do is go and copy it from there. Paste it right in, and notice that all of the formatting carried right over. I also have an image in my file browser that I'd like to bring into this canvas. So let's go ahead and pull that up. This is the one, and I can drag and drop this right here. And this has generated an image web part for itself, which is great because I actually want to move this image to the right of my text. So all I need to do is say edit section, change this to a 2-column section, and then I can drag and drop this image to the location of my choice. And also I have the option to resize this image to my preference. Here we have a people web part, and I'm going to specify the hackathon contacts here. That's going to be Megan and Alex. And finally, I want to provide some additional resources for the reader of this news post. So to do that, I can use our wiki linking capability that allows page authors to bring in other pages and news posts in just a few keystrokes. So let me show you how you can do that. You need to use the standard wiki linking syntax, which is open brackets, open brackets. This intelligently suggests some content to you. You can type to filter, and just like that, it's linked. Let's do that again for another post I want to add on here. Great. And so now the content of this news post is ready to go. However, I don't want to publish this news post till the CEO has announced the hackathon at her North America town hall. And so to do that, I can leverage our page scheduling capability. You can go to page details, and you can see there is an option here to toggle scheduling on. Here, I can give it the date of the town hall, which is June 5th. Give it a time, 11 a.m., so that the news post goes out concurrently with the announcement. And notice that the post news button up here changed to say schedule. Also recall, this is a hackathon for employees based in North America, and I can use audience targeting to ensure that this news post is highlighted to the right audience. So you see there is an audience property here. I'm going to put in the O365 group for North America employees. Great. So now when this news post publishes on schedule, it's going to show up for the right employees throughout the intranet. So let's go ahead and click on schedule. And soon I get the confirmation that this news post has been scheduled to publish at the date and the time that I specified. By the way, I also want to point out that once this news post is published, you can come in here and share this news post by email so that employees that live and work in their inboxes also find this news post. Next, I'm going to go over to another site. This is the Controso news site. So this site brings together news from across the intranet. You can think of this kind of like an employee's one-stop shop for company news. And on this site homepage, there are a number of news web parts that you can see right here. I'm actually going to go into edit mode to show you how these web parts have been set up. So this is the first news web part on the homepage. You know, it's always above the fold. Employees coming to the site are necessarily going to see the content that's in it. So Controso corporate communications team really wants to ensure that the content in here is managed and curated. And so to do that, they've leveraged our organize capability that you can see here that allows you to pin specific news posts to specific locations of that web part. We have another news web part over here, and this is still, important news, but perhaps tier 2 news. The source for this news has been set to select sites, and you can see 3 sites have been selected to serve this news web part. And leadership connection is actually one of them. So this means that when that hackathon news post gets published, that's going to show up here pushing an older news post out. But I also want to scroll down and show you that this web part has audience targeting enabled. And what that means is that when an employee that's part of that North America group sees this web part, they are going to see the hackathon news post here. An employee that doesn't belong to that group is not going to see that news post. They are going to see news posts that have been targeted to groups that they are a part of. We have yet another news web part down here. And for this one, the source has been set to recommended for current user. Now, this means that no 2 employees looking at this news post is going to see the exact same news posts. The news you see here is determined by the sites you work in, the people you work with, along with organization news. And by the way, this is a great place to see the visual distinction between organization news and other news. Notice that news that's coming from the leadership connection site and the landing, which are 2 sites that serve organization news, have that special highlighting behind the site name, whereas the other news posts do not. So that wraps up our news demo. Over to you, Brad.
Thanks, Debjani. You can see in that demo a lot of the great power and the ability to build really rich dynamic content and publish it out to everyone inside the organization. Now, we've got news. Now moving up the stack in the building blocks, let's talk about communication sites. Communication sites are the sites that you use to broadly share this information across the organization. You can use communication sites in a lot of different ways. You could use them, for example, to share vision, to create a leadership engagement or a leadership connection type of page where the leaders in your organization can publish information, they can publish thoughts, but they can also use things like the Yammer web part, for example, on that page to be able to have a rich 2-way dialogue with the employees as well. So it's not just about pushing, but with communication sites, we can pull in information, and leadership connection and engagement sites are a good example of that. We could share knowledge with community sites, You could also think about these as some of the broader sites in your organization, things like the HR site or the finance site. But these could go all the way down into very specific topics and communities inside your organization for folks to bring them together, share content, have those conversations. You can also create things such as microsites, for example, to promote events or activities going on inside of your organization. And as we talked about, you can create news sites to take all of that news, which you could publish across all the different sites as Debjani had showed you, but you can also create news specific sites inside the organization. Now, when you have your communication sites, there's a very special type of communication site, which we've recently just launched, called a home site. Now, with home sites, you're actually able to use these for the top of your intranet, your main portal or your landing page, to really create a personalized landing experience across the organization. Now, these home sites are communication sites, but they have, let's just call them superpowers, right? They can do things like use intelligent search across your entire tenant. They can bring together all of that content so that you get the news and the information that's relevant for the person that's looking at it through things like audience targeting. They have the ability to be easily accessed from anywhere inside of your organization. And you can put all of that rich content that you're creating, whether it's videos or conversations or news or activity feeds, all right there, personally relevant and targeted to the person visiting the page. Best of all, you create one page just like you create one news article, and it's available on every device. We will take care of all the rendering for you, so it will look great no matter where it goes, whether it's a mobile phone or a desktop browser, all with the one page that you've created. Let's hand it over to Debjani, and let's take a look at home sites in action.
The home site is a personalized and engaging gateway to the rest of your intranet. Here we are on Contoso Electronics' home site, which is called The Landing. And I'll first give you a tour of what's on here. We'll begin with branding. So branding is a really important part of any home site, and you can see that the landing has a custom site theme that reflects Contoso Electronics company colors. You can also see that there is a site logo over here. And now I'm actually going to scroll down to show you the branded footer on this site as well. And by the way, as I scroll, notice that the header became shy to save screen space. So here we have the branded footer with lots of important links. One that I particularly love is the send story ideas. This is just a great touch towards helping your employees feel connected to the content that's on this site. Let's now scroll back up to talk about the mega menu. So this is the mega menu, and in this case, I'm actually an editor on this site. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in edit mode and scroll down and show you that you can enable audience targeting right here on your mega menu. This means that any link in the mega menu can have audiences that it's relevant for, allowing you to build a really personalized navigation experience on your home site. Of course, the home site has news right here, and then further down over here as well. Both of these news web parts can be audience targeted. There are stream videos here on the home site. Further down, we have conversations happening directly on the home site, and employees can like and jump into conversations right from here. Now, these conversations are powered by the new Yammer Conversations web part, and you can see that the refreshed look and feel of Yammer is available right here on the home site. As I've been scrolling up and down, you may have noticed this new design element in SharePoint that we've added with the home site on the left called the vertical section. Now, the vertical section is available on all SharePoint sites, but we built it with the home site in mind, as it creates this great interplay between the we space and the me space on a home site. What do I mean by that? Well, on the left here, you have content that's relevant for all employees, the we space, some of which can of course be audience targeted to specific groups of employees. And then on the right here in the vertical section, you have content like my frequent sites, my recent documents, saved for later, content that's heavily personalized to every employee, hence the me space. Now, this home site, because it is just a communication site, was super easy to put together. But as Brad mentioned, a home site is a very special communication site. You can think of it this way. It comes with all the advantages and capabilities of a modern communication site, but with some added superpowers. So what are some of those superpowers? The first is search. So when a communication site is designated the home site, the search scope for that site expands to the entire organization. So when an employee comes here and searches for something in this bar, they get results from the entire tenant. In fact, when I click in, and even before I have searched for anything, I get great zero query suggestions from sites that I frequent, files I recently use, people I work with, etc. Second, the home site is automatically designated a source of organization news. As a reminder, that means that when a news post is published directly to the home site, it is distributed broadly to the news feeds of all employees in their SharePoint start page and their SharePoint mobile app. And additionally, wherever that news post rolls up, it has that special visual highlighting behind the site name. Third, notice this branded link on the suite nav that says Contoso Electronics. Now, this branded link can be set up in the admin center, and it's actually linking back to the home site, which is great because whether an employee is in OneDrive, in Word, they always have this branded link available. They can click on it, and this brings them right back to the home site. So they're always sort of grounded in this top level intranet experience. By the way, this easy access is available also in the SharePoint mobile app, where upon app launch, you have an icon that takes you directly to the home site. So to wrap up, another big superpower of the home site is that it's super easy to get to, just one click away. Back to you, Brad.
Thanks again, Debjani. That was a great demo. Now, when we've got these home sites, we've got communication sites, we've got news. One of the things we've got to do is be able to get them to all of the employees in the organization. Especially in large multinational organizations, English might not be the first language for everyone. Or maybe you're based in a non-English speaking country and you have to get information to folks that do speak English. Well, with multilingual publishing, which we've recently now shipped to all of the tenants, employees can consume this content in their own native language. You can publish it out. You can have local experts in the area that can translate it, that can localize it for the organization. And when employees visit the page, they can see it in the base language, or they can consume it in their own language as well. Now, we've built a rich platform and infrastructure here to make sure that we can notify, show you changes, all of that you need to be able to manage and support this at scale. Let's go back to Debjani and take a look at this in action.
Multilingual publishing has been a big customer ask from communication sites and organization news. So I'm excited today to give you a demo of how it works. Here I am on the benefits site in Contoso. This is where Contoso's global workforce comes to learn about their benefits at the company. And as you can see, I see this site in English because that is my user preference. But on the top right here, we have a language dropdown, and I can go ahead and change this to Spanish. And notice that the site is now available to me in Spanish. So let me show you how multilingual publishing works from an author's standpoint. Here I am as an author on the benefit site. I've drafted up a news post announcing a new benefit at the company. And this news post is in English, which is the default language on this site. But Contoso, being a global company, needs their news posts and pages on the benefit site to be translated to other languages. So to do that, I can click on the translations icon in the command bar and then kick off translations in the languages that this needs to be translated into. When I do this, what it does under the hood is that it creates a copy of this original news post in each of those languages. And it sends a notification to the designated translators for each of those languages that they need to come in and translate their copy. Now, those languages and their translators can be easily set up under site settings. When translators get that notification, they can click on it and come to their copy of the page that looks something like this. So here I am a Spanish translator. I clicked on that notification, arrived on my copy, and you can see I've already started translating this page. Now, the really great thing is not only can I translate the text, but I can also go ahead and add or update and edit web parts on this page. So this means I can really create content that my audience needs. When I'm ready, I can go ahead and post news so that end users can get the benefit of multilingual pages and news posts. We also notify translators when that original news post is updated. When they get that notification, translators have a link that takes them to the original news post. Here, they can see exactly what changed using page versioning. So translators can go to page details, and you can see version history down here. They can click on it. They can select the version they want to diff against, and then highlight those changes on the page. And this shows translators exactly which web parts changed, what changed in them, who made the change and when, so that translators can make the decision of which of these to incorporate into their copy. So that wraps up the quick multilingual demo. Over to you, Brad.
Thanks for the demo, Debjani. So let's talk about that last building block that we had, which is hubs. Hubs provide a way for you to organize your intranet together. It allows you to associate related sites. Now you can simply create a hub, associate sites to it, and they start to provide things like centralized navigation, roll-up of news, activities, events. But what's great about hubs is that you can take and you can associate these at any time. So as your organization grows and changes, it's as simple as one drop down to change and move sites around between different hubs. Now, as I was saying, they can do things like roll up news. But if you remember, as Debjani showed you back during the news demo, you don't have to use hubs just because you want to roll up news. You can do that very easy with the news web part. But you can do some other things with hubs as well that make them really powerful. You can bring consistency across all of the sites. So let's say, for example, you want your sales hub to have green across all of those sites. Every time someone joins the sales hub, they will get that green theme. They'll get all of that consistency through those associated sites. Now, as I said, they are easy to move between sites. So maybe you take a site from the sales hub and you want to move it over to the marketing hub, and marketing is blue. Well, simply by moving it with that drop-down box in the setting, all of that consistency is going to be applied. It's going to go from green to blue. The hub navigation at the top is going to change as it moves over for you. Now, not only is it easy for you to take and move them around and reassociate them as your organization changes and grows, but you can also create a whole set of workflow to manage things like joining a site. So if you're running the HR hub and you don't want people to come in without your approval and to be able to associate to that, you can set up a workflow to manage that. So let's hand it back over to Debjani one more time to take a look at hubs in action.
Here we are on the Give site, which is connected to the marketing hub. And you can tell because of this middle layer of navigation that exists between the suite nav and the site header. In fact, this is the hub nav that's shared by all of the sites that are part of this hub. The Give site is a communication site where employees come to learn about and contribute to the Give program at the company. And as you can see, the Give team has put in a lot of time and effort into designing this beautiful site and building it. However, this program has now had a change in ownership. It's gone from the marketing org to being owned by the global sales org. Fortunately, with hub sites, it's super easy to change site associations so that the structure of your intranet can reflect the structure of your organization. All you need to do, if you have the right permissions, is go to the gear and then go to site information. And you can see that this site is currently associated with the marketing hub. Just change that to global sales and hit save. And in a matter of seconds, you can see that the hub navigation is going to update to that of the sales hub. The theme is going to update to that of the sales hub, and the new theme colors flow right through this site. And the sales hub has actually started pushing down a site design to our Give site. Let's now go to that sales hub. Here we are. And you can see it has that same theme, that same navigation. If I scroll down, you can see the hub site has a news web part that's actually rolling up news posts from all of the sites that belong to this hub. Further down, we have an events web part here that's rolling up events from other sites that are part of this hub. And the search scope of this site is actually all of the sites associated. So this means that when you come and search for something here, the results are going to be pulled from sites associated to this hub site. Now let's go back to our Give site and check in on the status of the site design. So the site design has applied. Let's see what it did. It created a list called case studies. It added case studies to the nav, then it updated the documents list. We'll go ahead and refresh this site now. And notice that that case studies list has been added to the nav. Let's take a look at it. 2 documents are part of this list, and this list has columns already defined. So I must take this opportunity to reiterate just how powerful hubs are. They roll up content like news and events from across the hub. They push down a level of consistency in theming, in navigations, in permissions, and they can help enforce business processes across the hub. So in this case, all sites and business units associated with global sales has this case studies list to track successful cases. That wraps up the demos for today. I'll throw it back to Brad now.
Thanks, Debjani, for that demo and all the other great demos you've done for us today. Now, as you were watching those demos, you noticed that the sites were very visual. They were well laid out, great branding throughout. All of this is available for you to bring into your own tenant at lookbook.microsoft.com. You can go out here, you can get inspired. You'll see all the sites that we were demoing from today, as well as a lot of other sites out there, different types of things for organizations and departments and events and home sites and so much more. When you look at them, if you find one that speaks to you or solves a problem in your organization, with one click, you can bring that down right into your tenant. You can customize it. You can work with it to make it your own, brand it your own, or you could bring it down, just look at it to understand how it was created so that you can do similar sites in your organization. So we've covered a lot of information. We've seen a lot of great demos. Now, it's really up to you to start to think, how will you make the intelligent intranet work for you? How are you going to use things like news to bring rich employee communications across your organization? As you think about these things, I encourage you to go out and make these real. Go out to the lookbook, start to bring in some of these templates to use. But I also encourage you to make sure you go out and check out the new Yammer, which has recently been made generally available. You have all of this functionality today in your tenant. Go pull it down. Think about ways you're going to bring those rich conversations, not just to your intelligent intranet, but across all of Microsoft 365 in your organization. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great event.
As Brad said, Thank you for watching our session today, and we hope you found it useful.